Hey guys, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to express doing an action by yourself and how to express doing an action with other people, together with other people. And to do both of these, we are going to use the phrases hitori de and to. Now, you might remember the particle to from another previous video where we expressed how to say a noun and another noun together, as in the conjunction and, basically. And we're going to use to in this grammar structure too to pretty much mean the same thing, to express an essence of company between two entities. So we'll start off with how to express doing an action together with another person or with other people. Now, we're going to use to, but it's going to have a different literal translation, whereas it pretty much means and in the noun to noun construction. This is gonna have more of the with meaning. As you can imagine, in English, if we're expressing doing an activity with another person, we're gonna say something like I did blank with blank, not I did this and blank. We're not going to use and to express the company because it kind of just turns the person that you did the activity with into a direct object, and you did not do that person. So because of the relatively simple structure for both of these constructs, we're only going to have one example for each. And for the to together one, we have the example Ashita, Joji to issho ni ice cream o tabemasu. So before we break down the sentence, you might have noticed the presence of the yet unseen word issho ni, or two words, I guess. And issho ni is commonly used with the to construction when to is used to mean with, and it basically just translates to together. So just as in English, you can say I ate, or tomorrow I'm going to eat ice cream with George. You could also say tomorrow I'm going to eat ice cream together with George. It's basically the same thing. The issho ni is more often than not present there. So I guess Japanese speakers just have an inclination to emphasizing the togetherness of the activity. So that's what that means. And now we're going to break down the sentence. Word by word, we have ashita, which is tomorrow. We have joji, which is George. We have the particle to, which I said earlier means with. We have issho ni, which means together. We have aisukrimu, which means ice cream. We have o, which is the direct particle for ice cream. And then we have tabemasu, which is the future tense of the verb taberu, and it is the verb that modifies ice cream. And all together, again, we have ashita, joji to issho ni ice cream o tabemasu. And in English, that is tomorrow I'm going to eat ice cream with George. Now, one last thing that I want to mention is, of course, the absence of the subject of the sentence, which should be I, the pronoun I. We may have expressed this in an earlier video, but the pronoun I is commonly dropped in sentences in the Japanese language because it's so implied that you are the subject of the sentence that you're saying yourself. So yeah, here the I is implied, and if we translated the sentence directly into English, it would sound a bit weird, because if you don't have I in the sentence, you're basically saying tomorrow with George eat ice cream. And it sounds weird, but in Japanese it works a-okay. Now we're going to move on to the alone, doing an activity alone, which we use the phrase or the two words hitori de, and I lied. We'll do two examples for this. For the first example, we'll basically do the same as the previous example, but replacing the joji to issho ni with hitori de. So we have the example ashita hitori de ice cream o tabemasu. And this is basically the same thing. It just changes to the togetherness of the activity into a singular company. So the direct translation of this would be tomorrow alone eating ice cream, basically. So in this context, hitori means alone, but the actual word hitori is a counter for people. As a little side note, in the Japanese language, depending on what you're counting, the entity that you're counting, if it's people or objects. It even varies on the shape of the object or what it's used for, and it gets really extensive. The counter word will be different, but hitori is the one for people. So basically, hitori literally means one person. So you could interpret the sentence as tomorrow one person, or tomorrow as one person I'm eating ice cream, but we just translate it to alone to be more poignant. And as an extra side note, you may have come to the conclusion that if hitori is the human counter for one person, then could you use the human counter for 2 people or 3 people in the same kind of sentence? And the answer is yes, you can use futari there, which is as 2 people, and so on, depending on how stylish you want to be in your sentences. For the next example, we have Ashita hitori de Akihabara ni ikimasu. Tomorrow I'm going to Akihabara alone. And I don't think we need to translate the sentence word by word. You can see how the hitori de makes its presence there. It happens before the verb and before the direct object of the verb or the location marker of the verb. And yeah, that's the quick Japanese lesson on how to say doing things either by yourself or with other people.